I'd like to welcome you all. Just to move things along a bit, I'm going to jump in and say, Sheila and I have been talking for a while about the healing centers, and we've been using a website I created as a reference point to talk about the concept that many of us are having on a regular basis. I've enjoyed listening to both of the videos of Leigh and Brandon and hearing your concepts about them, because they actually merge pretty close to what we've been talking about. And I don't know if you've taken the opportunity to look at the website, but it's my vision of it, rather than a joint vision of Sheila, mine, and the other Brandons. But again, it's a reference point. So it doesn't really matter if it's mine or somebody else's or a group of it. What I am hoping, looking at, anticipating, is that I had my original vision back in the early 80s or the mid 80s. So for me, this is about a 35-year wait to bring this about. And I feel we're at that time when it's really time to go forward with these concepts, these ideas, these visions, these centers that we're all talking about. Sheila had her vision in and around 2000, and the other Brandon also had his first vision about a center around 2000. Brandon, when was yours? When did you get your vision?
Not probably until about 10 years ago. So when I started doing this work, I actually came back. I started running a healing center. I closed it down after a while because it was hard to manage other healers because I was taking over for somebody else, and so they didn't want to move into a new business model. So that was difficult. So I just closed that down. But I did run a center for a while. But the vision I had was much different, more evolved than that. I always hoped that it would develop into that. So I still held on to that, and of course, like different pieces of how it would look and the functioning pieces came along the way too.
Of course, same thing for me. And as I set up the website on Sheila's nudging, she wanted someplace so that we could converse and have a common area. It took me about 2 days to put it together, but it is 30 years of research and ideas and looking at the different concepts that I thought would be a part of it. Leigh, when did you get your vision for?
I would probably say more than 10 years ago, but probably in the last 6 years, it's become really intense, where I'd wake up in the middle of the night having these visions of it, and I'd have to scribble things down. And it was as clear as if I was seeing a TV screen in my mind's eye, and all the images were coming on a TV screen. So it was really quite vivid. Yeah.
Cool. So let me say that Joe here is new to this concept of, I think, what we're talking about. So I'm not sure he clearly understands the concept that we're really describing here. Did you?
I mean, I do. Based on, Rich and I met at one time and talked about this. I guess let me tell you guys kind of where, I don't know, have you told Sheila much about our interactions, or probably
nope,
not? So
not a whole lot. So
Rich just had it. His intuition told him that I might be useful somehow to this with you folks. And I've been over the website and I know what you've told me. And basically, I've been focused on playing music for the last few years. It's been a little tumultuous in trying to figure out like what my calling is, I suppose. And I've felt drawn to music therapy, different, other possible forms of sound therapy or healing, and trying to focus on meditation practices, yoga practices, energy healing has always been really interesting to me. And so, these things are all very new concepts to me, just combined with the fact that I'm seeking better understanding of my spirituality and sort of what that looks and feels like. That being said, Rich, kind of showed me the website. We went out and talked, and there are some things that resonate, some things that I'm not, I don't know if I'm an indigo child or a star child, or if I don't know. I'm very interested in some of these things, and the idea of a fifth dimension, the idea of, I guess that people tend to call me an idealist, and then I feel like I'm stuck in a hole with that. But I tend to want to seek and believe in more positive things for myself and for people. And I think I've my personal path has started to. I realized that maybe I've been pushing this musical path hard and possibly for the wrong reasons for a while. I've been trying to find my way into just a path of more ease and joy with it. And now it's sort of, it's some of that, and there's some other things calling me. I'm looking to do some volunteer work and try and just be of service to a communities, people. I don't know what it looks like. But so there's some things that resonate with me. Yeah.
So I want to interrupt for just a moment and ask the rest of you, have you ever had similar kind of thoughts and feelings that Joe has been describing here? I'm sure I have when I first started this. So I get that he's a newbie, just coming into himself in a spiritual awareness. But to me, in talking with him and getting to know him a little bit, there is just something that keeps presenting itself. He has much more to offer than he even realizes at this point. But what you're saying and what you're describing about, am I an indigo kid or a star child or a crystal cloud child? We've all gone through that process. I can absolutely guarantee you. Trying to figure out who we are and what it means and how well we resonate with that concept or those concepts. Mm-hmm. So it's just the beginning path, or the beginning start of the path of more self-awareness. But the fact that you're acknowledging them, that you have even a thought of questioning if you are any of those, and how can you be helpful to a community, however you describe that at this point, are all indications again that there's something about the concept that resonates with you. And again, I'm sure each one of us could go through and tell you a little bit about our own starting experiences in becoming more aware of how we can potentially be of service to humanity, to the rest of us, to help others awaken, to help others become more spiritually aware.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
So you're not in unfamiliar territory. It's just you're beginning to explore the pathways that are running through the jungle.
Yeah, it feels like human territory.
See, Brandon's nodding his head. He's been there, done that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, 9 years ago, I started on Facebook with the intention of finding other people who were having experiences like I was, because I didn't even have a vocabulary for what I was experiencing. And when they say that that there comes a time when it's important to be very selective who and what kind of energy you surround yourself with. I have ultimately, I have the best healers, the people who've got the biggest dreams. I have collected amazing people, and then the show came to me, which then made it even easier to collect people and the whole basis of my Heart Talk show is to lay a foundation of safety and supportive for us to all share our abilities and how we're using them and what we're doing with them, so that we can just be normal. We just have to have a place where we can be normal and talk our talk and not have to use our little words and keep our going.
Yeah, safe group of people. I can respect that. Absolutely. And understand that. I'm seeking to build trust with individuals too. I don't think it's any different no matter what you decide you are. There's so many labels out there for things, the way that I feel is I end up really hungry for trust and connection, and I end up jumping the gun before anybody else is ready, and I get into a room with people and I just, I hug too fast or something. And
I can silence a room.
Any fast huggers?
A packed room with it's very powerful.
Yeah, man. And so then you realize, oh wait, that's not how this works. Like, you have to build trust with people. You have to and feel safe to feel normal, to feel like, and if that's what you're seeking, no matter what it is that you're seeking, that's something that's the only way you can kind of find where you belong.
The people that are here, Joe, have again traveled that path already, and what Sheila's saying, and I think we all can agree, is that we've come to be much more selective of those groups that we enter into. But when we do, the concept of hugging too fast is not an issue.
Yeah.
So it's like it's expected rather than the exception.
Yeah.
So that might be the difference in it, on that type of thing. I want to say that with Sheila, we got talking about the center ideas, and again, that it was about time to start doing something. And I wouldn't have created the website if I didn't feel it was the appropriate time to start moving forward on this whole concept. And as we've met different people, I've been talking to Sheila about saying, hey, what do you think about having this person be a part of our visionary group? And this is the intent of this group right now, of the 5 of us that are here, plus Brandon, the other ones that we have been talking with. And I have to say that, again, it's taking it to the next step of start gathering people together that have similar kind of visions. Because no one of us can do these centers to the level that we're thinking of them alone. And I think the more that we can start coordinating our ideas and our concepts, it'll help each of us, or all of us, to create either a center or multiple centers. My sense is there'll be a ton of these around the globe, and I would like to actually be a part of helping people put them together and help organize the ideas and the concepts, maybe some of the design. Brandon, when I listened to your talk and the center, it was very, very similar to what Sheila and I have been talking about. It has some very good logistical aspects about doing it as a business that really stood out. But it was as expansive as the rest of us have been talking about. The different houses that, providing different structure for a wide variety of people's ambience and environments that they might need in one is very similar to it. I think Leigh has also talked about that there's some different housing or different structures that make it appealing to people that would be coming in, and that they would have, again, as Bill was saying, a safe place to be able to feel relaxed and comfortable in. So I've been intentionally asking each one of you to become a part of this, along with Sheila, so that we can start building a council here, a group of that we can start really working out the logistics of some of these things. It's great to have a concept, but to really, what do you do? What's the first step? Buy the land. All right, we get the land. Now, what's the next step? Get some utilities in there. Start laying out where a building is going to be. Who's got to do the financing? Who's going to take care of the construction? Who's going to be the project manager? What do we need to do in the way of project managing? These are no small endeavors that we're all talking about. Leigh said she, if I remember right, you already have drawings and almost a architectural plan for yours, don't you?
Well, I've got my basic plan. I didn't get official blueprints or anything to that level drawn up because, as you probably are aware, once you get a blueprint drawn up, there's a certain specified time where you have to start the project. And if it's not conducted in that time, you then have to redo the blueprint. So there was no point spending that, but I have bought my little diagrams. I've got them all over the place, and I've had these for 20 years now. And the big plan is in my head. I have had the GoFundMe up and going. It has just over $2,000 that I've raised so far, but it's a start, and the concept is there, so that's the most important thing.
Hey, Brandon, on your concept, have you looked at any of the financial projections around it?
I have not specifically looked into financial projections, but I know that, like, the way I had envisioned it, it would take a very large chunk of land. And thinking about what it would take to raise the money for that large chunk of land, I thought it might be easier to get into producing business first to get the revenue stream rolling, and then simultaneously, once it's up to a certain point, start funneling funds into the project itself. That way it would be easier. Otherwise, raising small amounts of funding here and there isn't going to really be enough unless you get joint venture partnerships, somebody with land, somebody with this piece, somebody with that piece. That's the only way they're going to get going prior. But then there's also like building costs and that kind of thing as well. Again, you could probably figure out something along the lines of a joint venture to somebody who wants to be a part of the project to come in, but who knows on that level. But I was thinking like 120 acres, something like that, large enough to have like a small community village as well as the retreat center itself. And some of the things I was envisioning too might be a little tricky to do, and so there's going to be possibly some legal workarounds like land patents as opposed to
work out.
Well, yeah, it will all work out in the end, but there might be some tricks needing to pull to get to there.
I think Sheila and I and Brandon have all been talking about somewhere in a minimum of about 30 acres, but most likely 100 acres.
Yeah.
So we're all talking about that same size of a village spread out over the land. I did a basic projection, and I got to about 12 million based on what I'm presenting on the website. And Leigh, I think, said she projected around 20 million. I actually anticipate that it's probably going to be 50 to 100 million by the time they get complete with all the different structures that are done. What I'd like to see is all the structures are done to a quality, not just a good enough scenario, that we do everything to top end quality construction so that it carries the energy and the vibration that these centers are all about.
Yeah, I absolutely think you shouldn't skimp on quality, but there's also like eco luxury that you can do that would be very much more affordable in some sense, you know. So I wasn't thinking like the Ritz-Carlton or anything like that as far as like what the center looks like, but more like a Hobbit hotel, you know, like what you might imagine walking into there. It's very cozy, it's very homely, it's very welcoming, it's very much of the earth, but at the same time you feel like you're nurtured when you walk in.
Right, I agree with you. That energy and that vibration and that intention is true of all the different structures that I have envisioned and have kind of gathered together. I just want to make sure that they're all done with a quality. You have been talking about the business projection. I have to say that I am anticipating we won't need joint ventures. I've found in the past that most of the time when joint venture scenarios happen, it dilutes the vision very quickly, especially if someone is just providing money and not part of the vision itself. So I'm actually aware of an opportunity where we may not have to worry about the funding at all, but that hasn't come into fruition yet. Until that actually happens or potentially happens, your idea is that you're talking about, Brandon, actually make good sense because the business model that people are used to and aware of that would help us, or any of us, or some of us, to get going on the concept of creating and building these. And again, it was part of the reason I really liked what you had to say when you were talking to Sheila.
Thank you.
Sheila?
Leigh has a very clear vision of a huge crystal in her entrance lobby-way that I thought was like, oh yeah, because I had some amazing. When you walked in, there was a water feature that reflected up on the ceiling. I didn't have the huge crystal in it, but that really resonated with me, and you know, what most of all I've seen with all of us is that we walk in and we all feel the same by painting my pictures, and then I started posting them. Finally, started posting them on Facebook, which was a huge thing for me. I was so terrified to share those, and what happened next was
vulnerability.
I had people want to buy my paintings, which blew my mind. And so that's kind of, and then my paintings were discovered from UFO Radio. He did a couple of interviews with me, and then that did another interview, and then another one, and then Rachel Love heard one of my interviews. She got a message that start we were just doing radio at that time, and contacted me and said, I've gotten a message that you need to have a voice, so we're going to start a radio show. What would you like to call it, and when would you? You're going to start Tuesday. Who's going to be your first guest? And that happened 3
Jeez.
What was that? Your second guest?
Huh?
What was that? Your second guest?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Rich was your second guest, he said?
Oh, yes, and Rich was like my second guest. back when it was just radio. Didn't have to comb my hair, nothing.
Well, you didn't quit after that. So, I mean, you really had something. You really did have a vision. You made it to Rich's interview.
Yes. Well, I had been on the Unfold plan for quite some time and was just allowing things to happen to me. I let go of all my ideas of what I thought I should be doing. And when I did this, this official universal, okay, I'm letting go, then like life just started unfolding. And now here we are. And I'd had a care home. My hobby was drawing blueprints. And so I kept seeing this center and I was just, it was sort of, my meditation just to draw up blueprints. And as I drew them, first started off like as a bed and breakfast. And then it was like, no, this should be a healing center. And then I'm like, no, it should be a retreat center. But and all along that I'm thinking of this, I'm just drawing up blueprints and, getting all the details of it. But really what I was doing was just, just like with Leigh, there were the gardens and there was the land and you could, could see the hills and all of a sudden just, it just, all these ideas came. Well, this was, back in the early 2000s. I've learned a lot more about interference. What is that? And so then, Rich started talking about his, and then it just seemed like it just started unrolling. And every time I started talking about people about these healing center ideas, we just get lit up. This is so like real for us. It just feels so good to talk about it. And it feels so like, and I personally have been on 4 different healing center projects. And, like Brandon was saying, sometimes healers don't get along.
No. Sometimes they don't.
I guess there's no rule book, is there? It's probably impossible to really manage because everybody has their own guidance with it. Right?
Well, hopefully, as we all raise up in consciousness, some of those differences will drop to the side. They won't be so prominent. But it's going to be taking a raise in consciousness for these centers to really come to fruition to the level that they should be.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, we're all practicing.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying it. I lived in a community house with the other Brandon for about 4 years. And it was the same kind of thing. It was, everybody had a different vision of it. They were there for their own reasons, not necessarily because they agreed, but because it was financially feasible for them to live someplace rather than, they just liked the idea that it was a community house rather than contributing to the community house. So I understand that, we're all trying to figure it out, and we're all having our own experiences. What I have to say, this group that we are gathering here, I think is of a level that a lot of those issues between us will be minimal. That we all have raised up in our own, we've done our own work, is what I had said to Sheila before. If people are going to be a part of these center visions, they have needed to do their work long before now. That they've, looked at themselves and figured out what their issues were, found a way to come to some resolve around them and let go and get beyond them, so that we can move forward with the concept in a much more cooperative, communicative way than what a lot of our experiences that we're relating have been in the past.
When Leigh and I met, we started talking, and it probably was about a minute and a half before we started talking about the healing center. And I was just blown away that
I should have seen her face.
Yeah, but it looks something like that.
I was talking about this vision I've been having of a healing center, and I think she nearly fell over.
Yeah, because, I thought like we were probably going to talk about Sasquatch, that's what we were there for.
Festival or something, right?
I mean, it just came.
Wait a minute, you guys. Versus the Star Children, the Indigo thing, and now Sasquatch. I don't think I can hang.
Good job. This is a normal conversation.
That's right.
Sorry, I had to be snarky. What was Sasquatch? We're not talking about Bigfoot, right?
Yes.
We are talking about Bigfoot.
Yes. Shit. And they're real.
Oh, and I have to tell you that the center will have, this is multi-dimensional realities intermingled, and the beings will come. And, they may manifest, and I'm sure that they will. And we will be getting a lot of communication all the way with them. See, we're forgetting that we're going to get communication to guide us.
Yes.
And this is a big thing. And I can connect very easily to them. And, I can just work with that and guide you guys. I mean,
absolutely.
All there.
I've actually put it down on the website that this is multidimensional healers.
Mm-hmm.
They'll show up when they need to, and it's not necessarily physical beings will show up. It could be non-physical beings that are there that can do the healing work or the teaching or the communicating. And it's not just from this planet; it's from the universe.
Absolutely. This is part of when Sheila spoke before about the big crystal. As you walk into the big foyer, there's a big crystal, for what I see in my mind's eye, is a big, huge, I'm talking massive clear quartz crystal. And this crystal is to be programmed for whatever we need to do. And we can reprogram that however we wish. If we need to manifest something else, we reprogram it and we manifest, because the size of the crystal will project the frequency 100 times over to project whatever we need to manifest.
My vision had started with healing chambers. I had a remembrance of healing chambers that either I was a part of in the past or they have been used in the future. My sense is that I actually come from the future back to this time frame to help make this change that a lot of us are doing. But part of the concept of the chamber was they would be built out of crystalline panels that would be fused together rather than having a supporting structure to them. And that those crystal panels and crystal structures would be very similar to what you just described, Leigh. They would be programmable. So if you had to do some kind of physical healing, they could be programmed to coordinate with that particular healing. They could be used as viewer screens like a lot of our computers are right now. They could be programmed for a ambiance that you might need or want. I had a whole concept that it was in the chambers as I remember it, it was a pyramid structure that would have a platform in the center base of it, center base, and then up above in the peak of it would be this non-physical being that would literally take a physical body and raise it up in dimensional energy and vibrations and remanipulate the DNA or the cellular structure and bring them back down into physical reality. And that there would be an attendant there to help the people on and off. And that attendant could have been the non-physical being as well as the physical being, and they could interchange as a part of who and what was taking place.
A lot of people will come to the centre just to have a look, but the frequency will be so high that they won't be able to handle it, and they'll just turn away and walk away. It will attract, and on some level, in saying that, some people who need to be kind of upgraded will come in for that purpose. They may not be aware what it's for, but that's what it's actually for. I mean, like we said, multi-dimensional healing on many levels.
I also get that we're going to have different levels of centers around the globe. So there will be some that are for the high school student trying to become more aware of where they are, and there'll be those for the graduate students, just using that as an analogy rather than specific reference. But
I actually had something similar. I was thinking that the different levels of what people are going for. Some people going in for basic healing,
right,
and then their diet, for instance, would be a certain way. Other people going in for more advanced enlightened concepts, their diet would be a different way, as well as the teachings they receive would be a different way. And they would
exactly.
separately so that the groups would support each other in their community.
Right, I agree. And it's, again, in listening to our conversations and the different conversations they've had with Sheila, we're all talking the same thing. We're all saying it from our perspective of it, but we're all really close on how close these vision of these centers are. The other Brandon started using the phrase Ascension Center. And I talked to another friend of mine, and he actually said that Ascension might be a little too far-fetched for a lot of people. So EnLightenment Center might be more inclusive. But
that's what I was envisioning calling it, like a center for enlightened living.
Yeah.
I've put down here on my GoFundMe a consciousness awakening center. So, similar.
Yeah. Again, we're all on the same page. We're all talking the same concept. So this is why I suggested to Sheila that we start gathering these people together, and let's start working together and trying to really start create these, because I think it's time.
Are you all aware of Mary Rodwell?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Sheila?
The name sounds familiar.
Okay, well, Google her, and then you'll know who she is.
Uh-huh.
She's a world-renowned speaker. She's a friend of mine, and I spoke with her, God, it was probably 4 years ago, and she mentioned that she had a vision of a centre. And we had this thing, I was like, oh my goodness, and so she is having visions of these centres as well. And she's in one of the most advanced realm of people doing the work out there. So she knows what's going on as well. So who knows? She's in Australia, but she's up in Queensland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd also kind of envisioned like the possibility of at one point having children like the ones she talks about at the center or at some forum or some secluded place separate from that but close by.
What was that, Brendan? I didn't hear the first part of that.
Mary Rodwell, she talks about hybrid children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was a thought that I was thinking about, and when I was connecting to them psychically, that was a potential that I had saw that could come about.
I actually see also with my vision, there will actually be like a teaching or a school for the new star kids.
Absolutely. That was me too.
Yes.
And
So, Joe, you can send your enrollment application to Leigh.
no, they have the Steiner school systems over here, and it would be similar to that, but it would be levels way above that. So,
One of the things I saw as part of the vision was definitely having a body of water.
Yes.
I see a lake, and I got a long time ago that the water will be active as a healing element in itself. You can simply walk into the water because it will be reestablished to its original properties, which was truly a life-enhancing scenario. So I really am anticipating that a body of water will be a part of the center.
yeah, I actually got, there was a natural spring on the property, and we could just open up the springs and make like, little pools where you actually bathe in these pools, thermal hot springs that have, all the minerals, but so it's a form of healing. Yeah, but there's also ley lines and portals on this property, so you've got the highest frequency of energy ever.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have taken a look at the website that I created, but part of the vision I had is we would literally have Stargate on the property, on the center, and there would be landing pads for ET ships, and those are beyond what you're referring to, Leo, which is a natural energetic portal or vortex that would be on the property. I get that they should be on ley lines or intersecting ley lines, or something that is going to be energetically that can be activated as a part of the center's location.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could you please give me the website address again?
It's Spirit Harmony Healing Center.
I have looked, but I'll look again.
Weebly, WEEBLY.com.
Thank you.
Put the link on that messenger where we've all gathered.
Okay.
Are you going to do that, Sheila?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. I've gone through and really put down in a lot of the things we're talking about on the website. I've talked about, the integration group, the healers, the type of quality that the healers would be. I didn't include the schools, but I get that would be a part of it. I've also researched products that are already available, like free energy devices that can be purchased and used on the center, and air to water devices that can be used on the center. So getting away or getting off of the grid, as most people talk about it, that this would be a self-sustaining community. And it would have anything and everything we could possibly think of that would be futuristic by most people's idea. But I have already, it is my belief, 90% of the things we're thinking of already exist. And that we just need to be able to get to them and have access to them and start incorporating them into the plans of what each of us are talking about.
Yeah, I told Sheila on our last conversation, I think, it already exists in the ether up there. It's just a matter of physically.
I'm saying they physically exist. That the shadow governments around the globe are already using a lot of the things that we envision. So it's just getting it out into the public that we can actually take advantage of it. But I get what you're saying also, that if it's out there in the ethers, it can be manifested in the physical. But they already do exist, is the point I'm saying. They don't have to go through that manifestation process. It's already in the physical. I did add to the website a video that I ran across recently as an introductory first page. It was the Ascension process. And it was actually about a 2-hour video that was a recap from the book Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marciniak. But when I listened to it, it's like, this is the story. This is what we're all talking about. And it was also some of my original inspiration for my own spiritual awakening. So it's there as a part of it, but it's long to listen to. But it recaps the process of becoming spiritually awakened.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to add at this point that about 2 weeks ago, I had a very clear vision of me standing at a place. There was a meadow, there was the forest line, and right over here was a cabin, a dark wood cabin. And when I saw it, I was just like, oh my God, you know, what was that? And my instructions were to breathe to it, just as I did this to this portal. I had seen this portal here 2.5 months before I actually made it through there. And I was just told, just keep breathing to it. And whenever I first saw it, it was way in the distance. And each day I would breathe to it and bring it closer. And then it was over here, and then it was over here. And then finally on, it was 12/12/12 that I made it through that. I had the night before I made it through there, my human had an immense purge. It was as if I had to get rid of some energy that was still within me and able to make it through that portal. So I do believe in my ability to breathe, to manifest through breath. And so I daily now am breathing to that piece of land. And because of the energy that we've been creating and the intention that we've been creating, and because of who I've been gathering, I feel like, and we're all like just on the edge of our seats waiting for something to happen here. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what this is going to be. And all, I haven't pinpointed where it is yet, but it's closer to the Portland area than it is over here in my area.
I've been looking at properties for 16 years now in the Portland area. Looking online, I haven't gone to look at any, with the intention of trying to find something that matches the vision that we're all talking about.
I have an idea. Why don't you get a map and get a crystal pendulum or dowsing rods and go over the map and ask where it will be and see what shows up. Now, Kiwani showed me this and he said it works 100% every time. I think he said 99% because he had to have that 1%.
There's been a few places that keep popping up, and I told Sheila about them recently.
Yes, I've actually been using my Trinity to do exactly that.
Oh, great.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it does. That's how I've gotten to that area so far. So
I'm also just getting. I'm just getting, when we're all together, we should kind of do something to manifest it. when we're all together. Now, I know that's hard because I'm over here and you guys are over there.
We're all together.
But I think they kind of mean in a physical sense. But as you know, Sheila, I'll be back in Washington in September. Would it be possible that we could do something or?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I hope we can just keep gathering now and then, and I don't even care. I just like being with people, and I just like, just keeping this energy alive, and as I'm meeting different ones, there are some who I thought actually might be part of it, and then something happens and I'm like, no, that's not it at all. Because I do expect, I expect a lot from everyone who's going to be involved in this.
Oops. Well, I better sign off then.
Because,
hey, Brandon, have you had any ideas of locations at all?
I was looking actually, and there is some property near Mount Hood that I was looking at. It has rivers and water and everything, and that area I keep coming back to because there's a lot of land available.
yeah,
Right. That's one of the areas.
yeah,
In and around north of the Hood River, White Salmon area, Stevenson area in Washington. All that area has is one area. Another area is the Washougal area. I keep coming back to, and Silver Lake up in off of I-5 in Washington. I haven't seen or found too much in Oregon itself. As I've looked around, I've been over on the coast, lived there for a couple of years. But there's a few places that keep coming back when I'm looking at properties. They just keep showing up again and again and again. It's not that a specific property has, but the region has. So it's still about finding that particular location. And I agree with you, Leigh, that I was thinking actually before you mentioned it, that we get together on somewhat of a regular basis and do a meditation or, really put some focus on how we can move forward with this and whatever insights that can be brought through with the idea of taking another step forward. For you over in Australia, do you have a sense of a location for where it might be?
Well, even though I speak about my own centre being in Australia, I know that they're going to be all over the world.
I agree.
And I feel like I will be a part of all of those all over the world. So to me, where the first one begins doesn't really matter to me.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I feel like Australia will be getting the third one. That's just what I get.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're going to come help us over here and get the first one going?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. How long's a visa for?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
You'll be getting a video of me jumping up and down and spinning around whenever I find that piece of land that I've seen. So you'll know it has begun.
Yeah, so this is the only way that we can all get together is online at this point. Brandon, you're in Portland. I'm in Portland. Joe's here in Portland.
Brandon, you're in Portland, and you're a healer. What are you doing here?
I'm actually.
What are you doing?
What are you doing here?
Well, I'm actually in just across the river, somewhere in Vancouver. Yeah, but close. And so I do various types of healing work. It started on its own with holograms. It just started popping up with my mom. I did a distance healing on her when I was in Iraq, spontaneously. And from there, I started learning other things and looking into quantum physics and consciousness to understand the basics and fundamentals of how things work, looking into principles of enlightenment and things and oneness and the structures of reality. And I started having a lot of out-of-body experiences and showing up, sharing different things, and really interesting experiences happen and on across many levels. They were teaching me things through the experiences. And so from there, I just started developing the way I do my work, which is fundamentally through restructuring people's belief systems and also helping expand their gifts through transmissions of certain types of energies.
So, Brandon, are you willing to take on a student?
Sure.
To be a mentor by chance to one Joseph?
Maybe we could just get coffee.
We can get coffee. I'll start there.
No, I don't. I'm not that shy about it. I mean, that's all very exciting to hear. I'd love to hear more about it this year. Just across the river.
Well, I will say that when I met Brandon, it took about 10 seconds, and I'm like, well, there's my team right there. I mean, I knew Brandon was going to be on my team right away. And that we were just doing the interview, and then we started talking about the Healing Center after the show. But I really admire Brandon's business mind. He's what inspired me was that because I don't have a business mind. That if I found my way and found this place, I want to call somebody right away. That's why this gathering is so important to me, because when I realize how things can happen and in a blink of an eye, things change. And I want to have my team ready. And
I can't help but get the feeling that if we were to all write down on paper what our strengths were in business or along those lines,
right,
we would find that each one of us is good at something different from the next person.
That's right.
And I think this is all going to fit into the puzzle of how it's all going to work. So.
And in my vision, as we naturally gather, there are going to be strong points that each of us have, and it would be honored that we would have someone who's got a business mind. It would be honored that we have these healers, that we have.
There wouldn't be a competition about it. It would be just an acknowledgement.
No competition.
Oh yeah.
And I know that Brandon understands that from his experience, and I have had extensive community experience, and to me, I think the people who are right for this project have got some community experience, because if they're a go it alone, or there could be conflict, I think, there.
Hey, Sheila, it's showing 3 minutes left or less.
Okay. All right.
So are we going to wrap this up?
Yeah, let's wrap this up, you guys. I am so happy to have you here. I love all of you guys. You are all important to me, Joe. I hope you have enjoyed this and want to hang out with us. And I encourage you to hang out with people who have discovered their abilities, so you will understand yourself more and feel safe and supportive. And you can call me anytime you want to talk. All of us have a deep deep need to serve, to reach out, and that is important in this whole project as well.
So Brandon, are you, I'm going to prod this a little bit. Are you willing to work with Joe or talk with Joe a little bit?
Absolutely.
I think you guys should exchange information here then.
What's your number, Brandon?
It's 503-664-0647.
664-0647.
Right.
And yours, Joe?
That's excellent. What's your last name, Brandon?
LaPier, LaPier.
Ah, I see it on the screen.
And he's on Facebook. We're all on Facebook, I think.
Yeah.
So you can also connect,
Please.
messaging one another there.
Leigh, thank you for joining. I love you, and I am so happy to have you part of this group. I don't care where we're located. We are so one with each other and with our visions here, and it makes me feel, you know, I have such a strong connection to Australia anyways. I just feel like, you know, we got to gather around the globe. I hope we find more.
And we've got a couple of places here that I wish you guys could see it, because they're very similar to what our creation could be.
Cool.
But they're just not on the scale that we're going to have. So,
Right.
But yeah.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Leigh. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for letting me come along, guys. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you all.
See you again next time.
All right.
Next time.
Well, next time, guys. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Night night.
Bye.